Recode's co-founder and CNBC contributor Kara Swisher is with us here in Scottsdale. Only she can get away with the sunglasses. It's great to see.
It's bright
you.
here.
It is bright.
What?
And it'll get hot, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
We always talk about what the lead is.
Yeah.
After the first night. What is it? What is it today?
We're doing our best. We're so sorry. We'll try to improve. From most of the big companies. I think it was interesting. You know, a lot of them are I think they were very admitful about the problems they've been having, and we're trying to tend towards solutions and the things that are coming and just wait to see what we're going to do. But I think it was a lot of, I'm so sorry.
For a long time, the conversation was, boy, mobile is huge. Look how fast these certain companies are growing. Look how it's changing the world. Look at China. Oh, my goodness. And now there's not so much talk about growth and competition anymore.
Right. They don't
it's about
say that.
You're already big.
Yeah.
And so now your innovation is going to be how you avoid getting regulated to death.
Right. Or please regulate us. We look forward, like Andy Jassy from Amazon Web Services, which is a massive company, talking about how he didn't want to get spun off because it's better to be bigger. All of them were talking about how it's better to be bigger. And then at the same time, he said, we'd love some regulation to tell us about facial recognition. They have a thing called Recognition, actually, with a K. That is a little controversial, all the facial recognition stuff. And so he's making the case that if you want this to be regulated, regulate it for us. We'd be happy to cooperate, that kind of stuff, which was sort of interesting.
You mentioned spin-offs. I think the first piece of sound we'll play is from Susan Wojcicki last night, who has had a long week, obviously. And Peter, all right, I guess the first sound we have is going to be from the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, talking about this general take, though. Take a listen.
If we split it up, it might make a lot of my life easier, and it would probably be very beneficial for me as an individual, but I just think it's a terrible idea. I think it depends on what problem you're trying to solve. If you're trying to solve election integrity, if you're trying to approach content issues like hate speech, and you split us up, it would just make it exponentially more difficult, particularly for us on Instagram, to keep people safe. Right now, there are more people who work on integrity and safety issues at Facebook than anybody who works on Instagram. One of the things that we don't talk about enough, I think, in general, is the tensions that arise. So there's a real tension between privacy and safety. The more data you have access to, the more you can keep people safe. You can identify bad actors of all sorts, but the less private everyone is, and vice versa.
Do you buy this idea that there's safety in size?
Yeah, I mean, that's their, you know, everything's a mess because we're so big, but being big is going to help us get out of this. It's kind of a weird circular logic, and I think they have to be saying this because, you know, Scott Galloway, who I do Pivot with, says if you split them up, actually, you create a lot of value. You unlock a lot of value. They're each individual companies. I mean, Amazon Web Services is $31 billion run rate, growing 41%. Instagram is an enormous growth engine. And so would they be better apart? Would they be more dynamic and everything else? Or as he says, will they not be able to pay for the things they need to pay for?
Here's my problem with the we need to be big to fix it argument. Right. The way that they got big was buying all these different services so that they could share data.
Right.
And that's part of what people have a problem with is I don't know where my data is going, all the different things it's being used for, and the companies themselves seem to have trouble in some ways keeping track of it. Then at the same time, you've got companies like AWS that are platforms. They're creating this technology that they're sharing with people who are not a part of the company. Right. So why couldn't they continue to do that? Like if they've got these great algorithms that Facebook does that they could sell to one of their former units in order to better police. Why wouldn't they do that if they have the technology?
Well, it was funny. Andy Jassy was saying, I don't want to do analyst meetings, which I think he was being funny. But, I mean, I think the issue is, like, here we are in this big, with all this help, it helps us to be part of a bigger thing. The Google people say the same thing. The Facebook people say the same thing. And so I think they're all trying to avoid the idea of a breakup. They know it's in the air. They know a lot of politicians are talking about it. On all sides. You have Elizabeth Warren on one side, you had Trump talk about it the other day. So I think that's what they're trying to avoid, is get the ideas, we will fix this if you only give us a chance, except that's how we got into this fine mess. Right. And so it was an interesting. I thought the most thoughtful people were from Twitter, which I think is a smaller entity, which is trying to deal with all these issues. And I thought especially both Kayvon Beckbor and Vijay were very intelligent talking about the problems. And one of the things they did is we had asked Susan Wojcicki if she thought social media, including YouTube, radicalized people, and she didn't answer. You know, she didn't even. And Vijay said, yes, we do think that, and we're trying to deal with it. So that was a very refreshing interview in that regard.